What is going on, guys? For today's video, I'm going to show you the best Earthshatter Berserker build in Path of Exile 3.27. This is the ultimate melee league starter for players who want raw power, tankiness and satisfying slam gameplay that feels incredible from day one. The Earthshatter has always been a fan favorite for its explosive visuals and the impact, but in this version we are taking the full advantage of the Berserker's Ascendancy to push it even further than ever before. With the massive AoV, consistent overleech sustain, and reliable armor scaling, this build will become a total powerhouse once you enter maps. It's cheap, hardcore viable, and smooth to gear, making it one of the best starters for the entire 3.27 cycle. And remember, if you're looking for this build's path of building, then click the link in the description. This version of the Earthshatter revolves around the synergy between the high physical damage slams and the Berserker's natural strengths. The skill itself will send out spikes that erupt from the ground whenever you slam, and these spikes can be detonated by using the warcry for the devastating overlapping explosions. The combination of the aerial coverage and the secondary detonations will make it amazing for both mapping and single target. The core mechanic is super simple but powerful. We will slam to generate spikes and then use the warcry to trigger them all at once. Each spike explosion will stack damage on top of itself, meaning that bosses will melt when you line everything up properly. With the Berserker's Ascendancy, we're not only hitting like a truck, we're also sustaining non-stop thanks to the overleech. Even in the dangerous content, our life pool will stay topped off through the constant recovery. The build naturally will scale armor, endurance charges and the maximum resistances, which rounds out our defenses beautifully. What makes this build truly special is how complete it feels without requiring expensive uniques. It functions perfectly on pure rares, but if you want to push it even further, then items like the Invictus Metal, Obscurantis and the Hinokarus Sight will add excellent value. This means that you can take it from the league start to the full endgame progression without changing your core mechanics. And before we continue, thanks to U4GM, they are a pro website that provides Path of Exile services like cheap currency, then even to trade all types of top quality items and mirrors and much more. They also have more than 20,000 positive comments on Trustpilot, and this website is really worth a try. So make sure to use my discount code KATE for extra 6% off. So now let's talk about leveling, because this build feels great from the very start. Early on you have two main options. The first is a Spectral Throw, which provides an excellent range and a solid early damage. We can keep enemies just inside our maximum range to get the best hits. We can also use the faster attacks instead of the volley on bosses for the smoother single target damage. However, if you'd rather play something more straightforward, then you can absolutely start with the Ground Slam instead. It costs you maybe a few minutes on the campaign timer, but it's more comfortable for many players. Then once you reach Act 2, we will swap to the Sunder. The Sunder will carry us through the majority of the campaign, thanks to its huge range and the solid base damage. Around this time we can add Intimidating Cry into our setup. It doubles our next 2 hits, which is massive for bossing. Also, I recommend to keep your Blood and the Sand aura on the Blood stance at all times, as stance swapping is not worth for this build. Then at around Act 3 to 4 you will gain access to the Auto Exertion, which automatically triggers your Warcry buffs without the extra button press. This keeps your rhythm simple and fast. And then from here, just focus on grabbing life, armor and attach for attack speed whenever possible. Precision Aura will help to activate the Precise Technique keystone early, which ensures that you're never missing your attacks in the campaign. Next up, let's go over the Ascendancy. Our first node is the Warbringer. This is one of the strongest early nodes for the Berserker, because it instantly restores a chunk of our health and the rage every time you use a Warcry. Since the Earthshatter relies heavily on the Warcries to detonate spikes, this node gives you constant sustain and makes your gameplay flow very seamless. Next, pick up the Crave the Slaughter. This node grants a massive rage generation while you're in the combat, as well as increased attack speed and the damage scaling with the rage. It makes your gameplay feel fast, fluid and aggressive, keeping you constantly amped up without needing the specific triggers. Then our third node is the Defy Pain, which turns the Berserker into a bruiser that thrives under the pressure. Every time you take the physical damage, you will gain stacks of Defiance by boosting your armor and granting additional mitigation. At max stacks, you can even gain a huge burst of damage reduction, allowing you to survive hits that would normally one-shot other melee builds. And finally, to round things out, we get the Aspect of the Carnage. This is a big damage spike by providing a massive multiplier to all of your attacks. Then next we got our skill tree, and it is built to scale physical damage, attack speed and durability. During the campaign we will path toward the duelist area first, picking up early axe clusters like the Hatchet Master and the Martial Experience. These will give you a great foundation for melee damage and the leech. From there we move towards the bottom of the tree to grab Precise Technique. It provides a huge attack boost as long as your accuracy rating is higher than your life total. Once you transition into the mapping, then we will start investing into the armor and the life nodes. The combination of Determination aura and the stacked armor scaling will turn us into a brick wall. You can also take Call to Arms for the instant Warcry activation, which will smooth out our Earthshatter detonations. Also, don't forget to pick up the Warcry Mastery or increased exerted attack damage, as it is a huge boost. Next up we have our skill gems. The main setup is centered on the Earthshatter linked with the Fist of War, the Pulverize, melee physical damage, brutality and the close combat. This is your bread and butter damage link. You can also experiment with the Ruthless or increased AoV if you prefer larger clear radius, but the standard setup is more than enough for both mapping and bossing. Then for your Warcry, use the Seismic Cry or Intimidating Cry to detonate your spikes. The Seismic Cry gives you additional aerial scaling and damage, while Intimidating Cry will guarantee double the damage for your next two attacks. Once you have Call to Arms, both can be used instantly for the smooth rotation. Then our utility gems will include the Blood and Sand for the stance management, then Pride or Determination depending on your mana, and Precision to maintain the accuracy. We will cast when damage taken linked to the Molten Shell. That adds an extra layer of automation defenses, especially when paired with the high armor. Then for mobility, the Leap Slam with the faster attacks will feel best. It keeps your tempo high when moving between the packs. Then for bossing, we swap Pulverize to the concentrated effect, and consider adding the Ancestral Protector for the attack speed. However, if you're using the Tainted Pact version later, then you can link your Immortal Call setup with increased duration for the maximum uptime. All of these gems come together to make the build feel incredibly fluid and powerful. Next up we have items. For your weapon, then Invictus Metal is the go-to for early unique. It's common, cheap and hits hard enough to carry you deep into the red maps. Then when you're ready to upgrade, craft or gamble for a Wall Axe or the Void Axe, based with a high physical damage and the attack speed. The more raw physical damage you get, the better your slams will feel. The Recombinators or the Harvest crafting can also help you to make an endgame tier weapon later on. Then your body armor should focus on the life and the armor. Echoes of Creation is a huge upgrade when you can afford it. It massively increases your slam damage, but should be only used once you have sufficient defenses. Until then, a rare high armor chest is perfect. Then for gloves, look for the attack speed, life and the damage while leeching. Then boots should have the movement speed resistances, and ideally something to avoid being shocked. You can craft this by using the Essence of the Torment, or pick it up from the Ether and the Exert Implicit Slayer. Then helmets and the belt should follow the same logic, stack life and the armor. A Stygian Vice with an Abyss Javel that grants shock or the bleed immunity is a big quality of life improvement. Then rings and the amulets will fill in accuracy, resistances and the mana sustain. The Hinokora's Sight is a nice unique option that automatically enables Precise Technique. Then for the flasks, go with the Divine Flask, a Granite or Basalt for the armor and a Quicksilver for the speed, and even a Silver for the onslaught. Just make sure that you have bleed and the freeze immunity covered somewhere in your flask setup. And now finally, let's go over the gameplay, because this build plays as good as it looks. Every slam you perform sends out spikes across the ground, and your Warcry detonates them into a series of overlapping explosions that obliterate entire packs. The flow is rhythmic and satisfying. You slam, use Warcry and then rinse and repeat. Once you get the timing done, you will be chaining detonations across the map like an artillery cannon. In maps, your large AoV will clear packs instantly. Use Leap Slam between groups to maintain momentum, and keep your blood stance active for more damage. Then against bosses, position yourself close and time your Warcry detonations so that all of the spikes would overlap directly under the target, and when that happens, the combined damage is enormous, often deleting bosses in seconds. Between the overleech and armor, you will rarely have to retreat. You can just face tank most mechanics easily, and then as you stack buffs like the Pride, Warcry Exertion and the Blood Rage, the build starts to feel unstoppable. Your life orb barely moves thanks to the constant leech, and with the right flasks, your physical mitigation can push past the 90%. And finally, Echoes of Creation will add a satisfying burst when detonating multiple slams, and even turning the quickest encounters into a quick clear.